Great. Welcome back to another conversation, another episode of the Spark Conversations. So, last week I did a video in terms of the diaspora dynamics and looking at it from whether it's the good life that people hope for, but also giving some tips on how to maneuver and how to craft out that path for those who are aspiring to go abroad, but also those who are abroad who are looking at coming back home. And most importantly, it was grounded on the fact that you need to understand why are you doing it, how you're doing it, but most importantly, building connections on both sides so that in case of anything, you are maximizing your upside, but also minimizing the downside and having a buffer. I would say kind of a support framework in place for whatever it is that you're going to do, which was a good part in terms of the initial conversation, especially for the things that I think we need to do, and also drawing on my personal professional experiences across both scopes and both different domains of the world in terms of being in the diaspora, but also coming back home and carving out my journey and shaping my career from back home. But then, as a follow up to that conversation, I've listened to a couple of other friends as well, and there's people who have been sending me feedback, sending me comments on what are the challenges and what they're looking for. And that is the foundation of this particular video today: social and societal pressure in diaspora dynamics. When we talk about social and societal pressures, which actually play a critical role in the dynamics of those who are leaving the country, staying abroad, and might be not even making it as much as we would think, and they are making it in abroad, in the foreign countries where they are, it's the social and societal pressures that come into play. So in this conversation, I would reflect on a true conversation that I had. One of them, somebody saying, you come from a family where you are the brilliant one, you got an airplane in your high school education, you went into medical school, you did your medical course, whether you're a medical doctor, you're a pharmacist, or a dentist. And after finishing your training as a medical professional, the society already expects that you're going to be their way out of poverty, especially if you're coming from a modest or a relatively low income household, and therefore you are the hope of that family. In this our country, things are not working as they should, and therefore then even for the doctors we have high numbers of unemployment or underemployment or whatever it is. The dynamics are stacked against you as a professional, but then they're stacked against you when the world expected everything out of you. So that becomes a pressure point for you. You're kind of like, how do I reconcile the societal expectations and the belief that I should be able to have it, while on this other side things are not working out for me, and therefore I need to find a way out. And what happened in this context is you are exploring options, and ultimately, then the idea comes into your mind. You're like, you know what, I can make it abroad. Some people who are out there already making it. So you look at it from not from building a career for yourself, but looking for an opportunity wherever it is that you can get it that could give you the better outcomes that you look for. So then you go abroad, you settle there, you start doing whatever it is that you're doing. The challenge number one is getting your visa and actually getting accredited and getting to stay abroad. Ultimately, you've trained as a medical doctor, you get into the foreign countries, you're doing the exam if you're able to get them. Sometimes you don't, and therefore then with your medical background, the greatest opportunity that you could get is to work as a social care worker or as a care worker within the social ecosystem and all that. So ultimately you become, I would say, nursing assistant in most of the context, and that is what you have to make ends meet with in that context in the foreign country that you've gone to. Ultimately, it's not guaranteed that your visa will be approved, and the dynamics just keep stacking against you as much as it could be. Or some who will go with education, you go do your masters, you finish your education, and the expectation is, I studied abroad, so then I should get better jobs. And the expectation actually destroys you more, because they're looking at better jobs than what you would have gotten without the masters, which is understandable and which is justifiable. But the reality is they might not be there, and therefore then the pressure becomes even worse for you. How do I come back home and tell people that I'm unemployed with a foreign degree, and then they already expected too much of me because I was already a high achiever who would have been able to make it in life? Those challenges will be stacked against you as a professional. So ultimately, where does this come out to be? You get to a situation where you've been abroad for a year or two, or maybe 3 years or so. Your visa has not been fully approved, so then you're not been nationalized in that country, you're not a citizen yet. You still can't work in terms of the scope of what you could do are limited. But coming back home is not an possible option. And that is the next level of social pressures. You are the high achiever, the family has expectations on you. And by you being abroad, you can have conversation, you can tell them how you are struggling, how you're making things, at least you're pushing yourself to get something working out. And because you're abroad, you also don't want to kill the hope and to kill the narrative of what they believe being abroad means for them. So what do? You tell them that you're making it. The good thing is, in terms of the currency strength differences, You'd be like, I would be in the UK, I could tell 20 pounds, whatever it is. 20 pounds in the Kenyan context is like 3,500 Kenya shilling. That is already substantial amount of money for somebody who like, okay, my son sent me something today, which is good, it's fantastic. But the reality is, wherever you are, there's a struggle because you're sending that, but you don't know even how you'll get your train to your next appointment to the social care home that you're going to work to, wherever it is. It's a stress. But because you want to keep the hope alive for the people that you love, the people that you care about, you never tell them the truth that things are not working out. So you keep the hope alive, but you are killing yourself or destroying your life on the other side of the world where you are, because you can't be honest enough to confess that things are not working as you would have expected. On the other side, you have a situation where when you look back and you're thinking of coming back home, you see the friends that you studied with, the people you graduated with, or maybe people who are not even in the medical courses that you are in that context. And they're relatively stable, they're having relatively a good life, and social media is making it even worse for you, because then this person had a wedding, this person bought their car, and they're doing every other thing that you are not doing because you can't do them, you're not even in a position to do it. So what happens? Coming back will be you coming in and parading your failure and your inability to get the things that are considered success in that ecosystem. So what do? I'd rather stay away, which is not about you having the life, but rather hiding from the truth and the reality of coming back home to tell people, by the way, these things are not working, and restarting your journey afresh within an ecosystem where you have a buffer and actually you have a support system. And even if not a support system, you are free to be you in your full capacity beyond what you can do. Because the other thing that people forget is that when in a foreign country with a sponsored visa, you are limited on what you can do and what you can't do, and that is the scope that you have to toe the line. If you're in a foreign country, however much money you can make, there's something that will tell you, by the way, you can't even invest here because you are not permitted to make your investment, do your new business, and all that. So these are the challenges that you're going to contend with. So your friends are making it, you are not making it. You can't come back and show them that actually you failed and you're not doing the things that they would have considered as success. So you have to stay away. But you're staying away and perishing away. The family dynamics of it, the social pressures that are coming in. You've gotten a graduate degree from a very high-flying university, I would say some of the Tier 1 universities that we look at in the world. Yes, it is good to have them, but if it can't get you the opportunity that you're hoping for, the societal and the social pressures should not block you from being authentic with yourself and knowing who you really are. And the essence of this conversation is for us also from a societal standpoint to say, how can we be honest and have the necessary conversation to let people know being abroad is not the same as being successful and being rich and doing everything that you want. It is a matter of banking your hopes on something of a possibility in a world that you know nothing about, but you aspire to make a difference in your life and also in the lives of the people you care about. When you're taking that chance, you're taking it with hope. You're keeping the hope alive for you, but also doing what is necessary to make it in that world, in whatever it is that your pursuits are. On the other side, engaging with your loved ones, engaging with your family to let them know the circumstances might change or might be different, but they have to be willing to accept you for who you are. And it's unfortunate for high achievers who, when you get the expectations are just too high, you'd rather go away and stay away and keep the hope alive. You might not provide anything that they need, but at least they don't know that you're failing, yet you are the person they were banking their hopes on. On our side as a society, we need to be willing to let these people know whether they're able to provide or not able to provide. We will still be there, we will still be family, and we will still be the friends and the colleagues that they had. And where we can help, let us extend that hand of grace and kindness, because people need this kind of support and kindness that they need and they deserve. It's not about acting like you have it all figured out, but holding each other's hand so that we figure it out all together. I hope you enjoy the conversation. If there's some of the things that you hear in this conversation that maybe sparks an interest in you to have a further conversation, I'll be more than glad to engage. And most importantly, extend that grace. For somebody who will find value out of this, please share it with them and let's keep the conversation. Let's keep building each other together. Thank you.